It's getting cold outside. All right, welcome everybody. We're recording and we are up and running. So welcome to Personal Finance. We're at the very last of the class. So there's not much more that we are going to be rolling over today. Actually, today is the last live lesson, if you can believe that. And then it's just you guys getting the work done and getting it turned in, and then you get credit for the class. So just so you know, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. As we're going through the class, make sure we're following along with the Nearpod lesson, using the chat tool respectfully and appropriately, and responding to questions and instructions the first time. Okay, this is a very interesting topic. I love talking about it just because it fascinates me. The criminal mind fascinates me, I think. So it's identity theft and consumer protection. So before we go into that, I want to jump into the class real quick. Last week, I apologize. I just had something come up, so we had to do a recorded lesson. I shot you over that. Hopefully you got it and did the lessons there, or the assignments that were associated with it. As you can look at the calendar, we have today's the live class. We have like quiz 29 through 34 this week, and then 35 through 39 next week, and you're done with the class, okay? As long as you're on pace. If you're not on pace, go back, get all these things done. If you don't get the exactly what you want on the quiz, redo it. If you're having trouble, a lot of people email me and ask, hey, what did I miss? And I give you guys some hints on there. We do have winter break coming up, so that is going to be upon us. And then the last day of the block is the 12th. So, man, it's coming up fast. But hopefully you guys are enjoying. We'll enjoy the time off coming up here soon. Okay, so let's go over this. Identity theft and protection. So what we're going to do is the objective, of course, you always have to go over that. Given quizzes in the OLS, students will accurately answer multiple choice questions about financial schemes and scams with 80% accuracy across one trial. So here's some questions that you may want to consider as you do this. So what are consumer rights and responsibilities? So first off, what's a consumer? A consumer is anyone who buys a product or consumes a service, that kind of stuff. They have the rights to be protected, okay? But then there's also responsibilities that we have to basically be smart and not be scammed by some people out there, okay? What is the purpose of consumer protection laws and agencies? Okay, we're going to talk about that. How can I avoid identity theft and fraud? We're going to hear about some instances of some famous fraud cases, as well as a scam that was caused. Then just kind of tells you how to kind of avoid some stuff like that. The next one is how do I understand financial contracts and avoid financial scams? Okay, it was interesting. My buddy told me that we were talking and he invested. Well, maybe I'll tell you this. If I don't get this story, remind me later. But it was interesting how he got deliberately in a Ponzi scheme, which we'll talk about a Ponzi scheme and how that works. So, all right. So fraud is a deliberate deception designed to secure unfair or unlawful gain. And you're trying to cheating the consumer. So identity theft is true name fraud. It's someone is wrongfully acquiring and uses a consumer's personal identifications, credit, or account information without your permission. The information may include like social security number, name, address, date of birth, names, passwords, pins, in order to access that stuff. Okay, so this quick video that we're going to be watching is a story, and it's actually very well documented. It's a book and it's a movie. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a big role in it, and Tom Hanks, if you know those guys. Anyways, it's called Catch Me If You Can. It's about a young man named Robert Abagnale Jr. who went out and fraudulently deposited checks, and he found out how to build rapport to cash these checks was to basically disguise himself as something he wasn't, right? To identify himself as a pilot. So he identified himself as a pilot, a lawyer, a doctor, and he actually got jobs in these actual areas, and they were paying him as such. He faked degrees, all kinds of stuff. So very interesting story. It's also a play as well. My niece, that their high school, they did Catch Me If You Can as a play. So this is just kind of a little bit of preview of kind of what he did as he was pretending to be a pilot. So we'll watch a quick clip of this, and then we'll kind of move on. But it was just kind of interesting that this really does happen. Now, this happened back like in the 50s, 60s. Now things are a lot different. Now the different kind of criminals you're having are more like hackers and people like that. But this thing has gone on for a long time. So let's watch this just real quick.
Hello.
Hi. Are you deadheading?
What?
Are you my deadhead to Miami?
What? Yes. Yeah, I'm the deadhead. Here you go.
You're a little late, but the jump seat is open.
You know, it's been a while since I've done this. Which one's the jump seat again?
Have a nice flight.
Are you my deadhead? Frank, Captain Oliver, John Larkin, the co-pilot, Fred Telly, flight engineer.
Frank Taylor, Pan Am. Thanks for giving me a lift, boys.
Go ahead and take a seat, Frank. We're about to push. What kind of equipment you on? DC-8?
707.
You turning around on the red eye?
I'm jumping puddles for the next few months, trying to earn my keep running leapfrogs for the weak and weary.
No shame in that. We all did it.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Would you like a drink after takeoff?
Milk?
80 knots. Check. V1, rotate.
All right. So he actually never flew a plane. He always like got on other planes and was able to go all the way throughout the world actually doing this. So kind of interesting. But it was pretty good story. So something if that interests you. And another class that I teach is actually basically criminal justice. And so really I do like those kind of things, you know, trying to get in the head of a criminal. It's interesting of what they think. But let's talk a little bit about this stuff. So consumer rights and responsibilities. So you have rights to be able to be safe, to be informed, to choose, and to be heard. But also you have responsibilities to use products safely, to seek information and use it to make decisions. So I always look at reviewing kind of products before I buy them, make sure that, you know, they have good reviews, that kind of stuff. Also to choose goods and services carefully, and also to speak up and let know what your likes and dislikes are. So, you know, even though I don't really post a lot of things like on reviews and stuff like that, it is good to do that and let you know, like, you know, it helps the process kind of move along. Okay, the next one is agencies and sources of assistance. So here are some administration things that help. One's called the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. They're the ones that make sure that the food that we're eating, the drugs and stuff that we put into our body are safe, and there's a huge screening process for that. Also, the Consumer Product of Safety Commission. For example, what they've kind of done is China was actually sending over a lot of baby toys with lead-based paint. So can you think of why that would be an issue? Any thoughts? So if you think about lead paint on children's toys and babies, they always put everything in their mouth. So they were getting lead poisoning. Yep. Very good. Way to think that out, Tori. So yeah, those little kind of things, right? The Federal Trade Commission, that has to deal with stocks and everything like that. The Better Business Bureau, an organization that makes sure organizations are legit and not fraudulent. The Bureau of Consumer Protection, and then also consumer unions. With different banks and credit unions, they are insured. So for example, everybody's kind of worried. Some people are worried, especially right after the Great Depression, of wanting their money in the banks and thinking banks will lose their money. But the federal government, the United States government, insures credit unions and banks up to $250,000 in your bank account. So as long as you have less than that amount, it's all insured. And so if there was something to happen, like a hacker came in and took all the money out, it would be insured by the federal government. So you would get that. Okay, so here are some ways to kind of avoid identity theft. One is monitor your credit report. Don't give out personal information to unknown people or companies. Protect your credit and debit cards. Protect your mailbox. Protect your wallet. Use passwords and PINs that cannot be easily guessed. Use antivirus software on your computer. Notify your bank when you change your address or phone number. Okay, so let's answer this question real quick. So it says, Bethany purchased a pair of shoes from the internet. What steps should she take to ensure her identity was protected while making the purchase? Okay, so let's have you guys throw some stuff out there. If you're unable to get on the Nearpod, why don't you put it in the chat? But if you were to buy a new pair of shoes, what would you do to make sure you're going to get those shoes, right? And to protect your identity? Okay. Is the site safe? Okay. So yeah, very good. So like legitimate sites, like Amazon's pretty legitimate, right? But I gotta say, like, I have purchased some things from like the Amazon of China, which is Alibaba or whatever, and it never got there. So you got to be careful. Okay. Make sure the company has reputable check reviews. Yet make sure they're not asking for personal questions when purchasing. Yep. Don't buy from weird websites. Yep. I have done that before. I have. Yeah. Track your credit, check if the site is safe, read reviews. If they have personal questions like social security number, run. Yeah, they're not going to ask those kind of things. But putting in your like a credit or debit card, I would suggest a credit card when making purchases online, just because they have what's called a zero liability policy. So if you did not do it, the credit card company is the one that's out, not you, right? If it is the debit card, then it will be pulled from your bank, and it may take longer to get out. So I like using credit cards or prepaid debit cards. So you can go down to like a place that they do have fees every time you use them, which kind of stink. But at the same time, it does protect you, especially if maybe the site's a little leery and you're worried about it. Okay, let's talk about scams and schemes now. A scam is a fraudulent or deceptive scheme. And this is one. So if you go on YouTube and you type in what's called the real hustle, This was kind of put out by the British, I don't think it was the government, but organization. So there's a lot of scams and schemes that are in Britain, and across Europe, actually, a lot of them. But what they have done is they created this TV show called The Real Hustle to kind of inform the people there of how things like this work and what they need to be leery of. So this was just one that I pulled off that was kind of interesting, kind of on a real day thing, but there's tons of them on there. If it interests you, you can just type in on YouTube, The Real Hustle, and watch some of these. But let's watch this one. I think you'll be very interested to see how these scammers are trying to steal your possessions and your identity. So here's the way they do it.
Jess is in a busy shopping centre promoting a new left luggage facility. And for a limited time only, these lockers are completely free. This is the lockup. With so many people weighed down by bags, it's not long before Jess finds someone to make use of this great offer.
Yeah, so you got quite a few bags with you today. Would you like to use one of our free lockers? You can have one each. Yeah, you're welcome. Put your stuff in there. And if you can shove it all in one, or I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 2 lockers. There's yours.
Thank you.
One for you. There you go. Just make sure you're back before 9.
And the other lockers also start filling up. That's a bag of shopping and a backpack.
I'll put all in there. Thank you very much. Do you want to put...
That's another bag locked up perfectly safe and secure, not in any danger at all of being stolen by unscrupulous hustlers. 2 hours later, the customers start coming back. But instead of finding Jess, they're faced with a big empty space where the lockers and their bags used to be. They head into a nearby shop to ask if they've seen 40 metal lockers vanishing into thin air. And they're not the only ones wondering where all their belongings have gone. Let's take a look at what they didn't see. This was the mall earlier in the day.
Why don't you go just there?
You think so?
Uh-huh.
That'd be nice, yeah. Come on, someone might steal them.
In a matter of minutes, this empty corner of the shopping centre was transformed into the hustlers' left luggage facility.
All right, cup of tea. Bye-bye.
There.
Once Jess had collected as many bags, rucksacks and carriers as she could,
Do you want 2 of them?
it was time to call back the hired muscle.
Ooh, heavy.
And as quickly as the seemingly permanent lockers appeared, they were gone. And along with all those bags, went into the back of the hustler's van, never to be seen again.
There was a lady down there that was having some lockers there for anybody to put their bags inside. And basically my friend put her bag in there. And I was saying, no, I ain't putting my bag in there because I actually come here often. So I've never seen such a thing. So I thought, no way.
I think my passport's in there as well. So I really need my bag. I just can't believe it. I really can't.
Hustlers are always looking for ways to separate you from your belongings. And there's nothing they like better than finding a way to get you to give them your stuff.
Anytime you have to leave your luggage in lockers, make sure you're using reputable facilities, like at a train station and an airport. Of course, if you want to be sure about the safety of your belongings, the best way is to keep them with you at all times.
Whenever you're invited to part with your valuables, whether it's locking them away or depositing them somewhere, if there is something unfamiliar about what you're being asked to do, don't be afraid to double check. You know, if it means going to a shopping centre and saying, are these cabinets new? Are they okay? Then do so. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's your money, your goods, your valuables that you're parting with. So just be safe about it.
All right, guys, what do you think about that? Pretty scary. Just little things like that you just wouldn't even think about, right? And all of a sudden you're scammed. One of the things that that is pretty common are different schemes financial schemes. Okay, for example, like a pyramid scheme, where financially you're only selling like memberships, and it's basically the person at the top is making all the money, and underneath everybody else is working for them. So be careful of that. There, the Ponzi scheme. Okay, so going back to my friend. My friend said what he did is there was this guy that was apparently too good to be true. And what he did is he invested, I think, like $60,000, which was quite a bit. And he said there was instant returns that were going to come back, which he did for a little bit. He would get like $1,000 back every month. And he's like, this is great. You know, I'm going to make my money back. And it was supposed to be continual, that it will just get this for the rest of his life. Yeah, that doesn't work like that. So what happened is he put the money in. And so a Ponzi scheme, what they do is they just move money around. So like, let's say they came to me and I gave them some money, right? And they would go and take that money and give it to another investor to show that they're legitimate, right? And then all of a sudden everything's cut off, right? They go away, no contact, and these people have taken off with all this money. And the thing is, they build excitement. It's like, oh, this is great investment, that kind of thing. There's another one where there's investing in like a travel timeshare kind of thing. That was something that got around for a lot bit. So you got to be very careful when you're looking into those kind of things. An affinity scheme is really looking at targeting like specific people, like elderly, ethnic groups, religions. I remember my grandma would get phone calls all the time, unfortunately, to people saying that it was her grandson and they were in jail, and they needed to send a money order over, and she would kind of freak out thinking that, you know, it was me or somebody else in jail, which was not the truth. And I need to get out. So anyways, we put a stop to that pretty quickly. So they target these people, but people fall for it, you know, like you think of, you know, different elderly or groups that may not know English, or somebody that's very charitable. They're sometimes really taken advantage of. Also, one thing I'd be looking for is predatory lending. So look for things that are you know, nonprofit organizations that that maybe say like you put money in and then we'll lend you the money, but then what they do is they put it such a high interest rate that you can never pay it off. There's like, it multiplies, it's variable. The predatory lending is something that's big. You got to be very careful on who you're trusting there. If you go to like some very, you know, you'll know who's legitimate or not, right? You just need to research that. With online right now, there's a bunch of stuff you can research and make sure there's credible, you know, real estate agents and mortgage brokers and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's some warning signs that you can look for. You know, backdoor, them asking you to backdate documents, large fees that are given to the broker, single premium credit life insurance, which is never ever works, that kind of thing. So, okay, some other common scams that you'll kind of see. Somebody told me the other day that they applied for like 2 fraudulent jobs because they wanted to get her information. Unfortunately, they did that. Advanced fee schemes, the prize that will cost you, online auctions, said fraudulent jobs, money-making schemes, bogus charities, scam schools. Okay, so how do thieves work? They usually just skim off the top. They don't go and take a whole big lump sum of money. They just do a little bit at a time, right? Another thing that I found out is I went to this place recently, and they have this bridge that you cross, and the people there, they would actually they set up like a booth or whatever and charged everybody $1 for crossing the bridge. And it wasn't legit. They did it for years and years and years and made tons of money out of it. Okay. So I kind of laugh about it, but it's, it's those things that you don't know, right? Computer spyware, account redirection, phishing, farming, wireless hacking, stealing, and shoulder surfing, all those kind of things you need to be looking out for as we go through things. So a couple of things, guys. Don't be a victim. Be the one that's going to be proactive. Always stay in charge of your money. Don't be fooled by appearances. Watch out for salespeople who sell on fear. Monitor investments. Report fraud and abuse. Do your homework. Be wary of door-to-door salesmen. Okay. So anyways, that kind of ends us there. Remember, what you need to do this week is we got quizzes 29, and I would just finish off the rest of them all the way to 39. So you got 10 quizzes that you need to do before the end of the block, which the block ends on the 12th of January. So you got plenty of time. I'll stick around if you guys have any questions or you need anything, just let me know. And you can contact me here if you do have anything after. So I'm going to stop the recording, but I'll stick after for a while. If you guys know what to do, you're free to take off. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good day.